Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. Dreamed about owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Shirley Warrington, Vice President of Franchise Development for Decor You. And Decor You is a dynamic interior decorating franchise, and they're part of the global home furnishings industry, where sales top $200 billion each year. Decor You has more than 100 decorators operating throughout 30 states. And that's coming up in segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. Stick around because we've got a great show.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed about owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And Don, welcome back to another edition of Franchise Interviews. Happy Halloween. How you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, same to you, Marty. Happy Halloween. Doing fine.
Thanks. I know you had a busy day yesterday with the kids, I guess. Their play?
Yeah, their little preschool. They have a little Halloween parade. Our kids go to school Monday through Thursday.
Right.
Had it yesterday, and all the parents are there taking pictures, videotaping, and then they sing a few songs, and
oh wow,
the stuff you won't forget.
Right.
Ever.
Oh, absolutely.
All dressed up in their costumes. It's real nice. And then today, of course, my wife will head out and do some trick or treating with them. I mean, they talk about this all year.
Oh, I can only imagine. It's a big day. Yeah. Well, it's funny because yesterday was actually where we live in Pennsylvania. They celebrated Halloween here, so it's kind of interesting today not having it. It's
right.
And don't ask me why they do that, but our son went out last night, trick or treating for the first time, and see all the candy he got. I mean, again, my wife was pretty much walking him around. Which, by the way, this week he did start walking, so it was kind of like a milestone this week. Yeah.
Birthday, started walking, first Halloween.
First birthday, and he started walking, yeah. So it's he definitely has us on our toes, that's for sure.
Right, yeah.
But it's a lot of good stuff. Our last show, Don, we met with Bruce Violet of the Business Partner Franchise Opportunity. And your local business partner is a team of experienced marketing professionals with expertise in all areas of marketing communications. And Business Partner simplifies your life, saves you time and money by providing a single source alternative never offered before in this market. I thought it was an interesting concept. Again, it was something that we haven't had that type of franchise opportunity on our show. And quite honestly, I haven't seen a lot of franchise opportunities that offer this kind of service. So I was very interested in their concept. What were your thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah, well, I thought they made a good move to have the affiliation with Franchise Source Brands International to really kind of, bring them full circle and just make sure they're on the right path. And I agree with you. I like the one-stop shopping where, really any type of marketing and advertising, from trade shows, corporate gifts, all media, print advertising, online stuff. They really, cover it all. For a new franchisee to come in and have that many products and services is interesting.
It's a lot of work. I mean, again, you're a big marketing guy. I mean, you do a lot of, you pretty much do everything and anything, you know. I know that from, you know, knowing you throughout the last 10 years. But it is a lot of work, and it's very time-consuming, you know. And I love that one-stop shopping kind of aspect to it. So just very interesting. I also like the fact that it's a home-based business, you know. And, again, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about, you know, franchising is really a means to an end. So it could really be a great opportunity for someone who's just, you know, looking to work from home. And you don't have to have a background in marketing, you know. I mean, this isn't for someone
business ownership, right. I think they just want a people person, someone's comfortable with people, can get out there and market and advertise. You have a lot of services, and then, you know, any business out there can be a potential client. That's what's interesting. And then because it's a franchise, you know, of course, they're on top of all the advertising and promotional stuff to, you know, get your business going and getting running. And it is so critical. I mean, I'll delay my own businesses. You know, say if we have a deadline to send something out, some type of marketing, a postcard, a brochure, email ad, whatever it is, I won't send it out until it's really correct and, you know, looks really nice, it's top of the line, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of good points. You know, I mean, the market for this thing is huge, isn't it? I mean, you think of your set of actual and potential customers. You know, I'm looking out my window into the city of Easton, you know, and all the businesses that are just in that area. You know, it's just incredible. I mean, it's so it is a very big market and well-needed service, and marketing is just such an important part of any business. You know, and to really do it on your own is I think it's very difficult. Again, I have a background in marketing, and Bruce brought up a lot of good points that I never even thought of, you know, with like logos and things like that. So just very, very interesting. So it was a great show. Yeah. You know, I'd like to have him back and just watch those guys continue to grow in the future. This was a great story, Don. I thought it really could be applied to any franchise. It's from the co-author of Fish. It says, a remarkable way to boost morale and improve results. And it's by Harvey Paul. It starts off like this. It says, my dad, Jack, is 86 years old, and for the past 3 years has been working part-time at a local Wawa convenience store near his home in Pennsylvania, the oldest employee for the family-owned chain. Because of his age, he decided to stop working at the Wawa because it was just a bit too far from home. One day he was having brunch with my mother at a local delicatessen, and one of his regular customers at the Wawa came over to him and said the coffee didn't taste as good after he left. My father mused at my mother that it must be because he cleaned the pot before he brewed a new one. He couldn't come up with any other reason that the coffee might taste better. But then a new Wawa opened closer to his home, and he went to work there. 2/3 of his customers followed him to the new store. Why do they follow him? It's not because he washes out the pots better. It's because he's nice to people, he makes them laugh, and he creates a positive experience, which in turn makes the coffee seem to taste better. My dad has been awarded 3 gold medals for outstanding customer service in his 3 years with the company. And then it says, he asks the question, what can we learn from how Jack made the coffee taste better? Then it goes on to say, so who is Fish? It says, they didn't start out as being world famous. They became that way because they changed the way they had been doing things. They had a change in attitude and a change in culture. Just like my dad, they found new ways to make work a destination where people wanted to be, a place where the focus was not only on performance but also on values. People have to feel valued in the workplace. If people do not feel good about what they do, they won't work harder. You know, and the article goes on, but it was just really a fantastic article. It's something that I'm actually going to send my business students at Kaplan because it was really motivational. You know, just making this little change, but this really applies to any franchise, doesn't it? I mean, again, whether you're Subway or, you know, business partner, it doesn't matter. You know, and that's been a common theme on a lot of our shows, asking our guests, you know, what kind of franchisee are you looking for? And always amazed at how many times it comes down to strong interpersonal skills.
Right.
Nothing
people,
to do
person,
with
right.
Yeah.
You know, getting out there, speaking to people.
And that's great news, isn't it? Because anybody can have better interpersonal skills. I mean, this is something that anyone can work on. It has nothing to do with IQ or intelligence or anything like that. So just very inspirational
stuff, yeah.
Absolutely. The most basic of stuff, you know, but just so important. And so I just thought that was a great article. I thought it would be a great way to start off today's show, just talking about the importance of having a positive attitude and just all those things. So
practical. You know, that's what you're doing with the business. It's all about relationships. You know,
it's all about relationships and having a good time. You know, and just wanting people to come to work, not putting a gun to their head and scaring them or threatening them. It should be a fun experience. So.
Yeah.
And I know you had some interesting articles, and announcements, don't you?
Yeah. Well, first let's mention next week. You and I are going to be busy. I'm going to be exhibiting at the West Coast Expo franchise show in Los Angeles next week.
Right.
And for people listening, it's from November 7th to the 9th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. It's a show from Friday through Sunday. It's one of the major franchise shows, throughout the year. People wanting information on it can go to mfvexpo.com, just mfvexpo.com, to find out the times and all the information. So we're looking forward to that. Our company exhibits Diamond Financial at all the shows.
Well, you're not allowed to come back with a tan, though, just so you know, because I'm going to Chicago, and
right.
I know I'm not going to have the same weather that you're going to have. So
right.
That's not fair.
Well, it's rough. I go to these different cities around the country. I really want to take a day off and go see some things, like when we exhibit at Washington, D.C. So much.
Oh, and that's a wonderful time of year, too, to be down in Washington, D.C. The cherry blossoms
right.
are blooming and, all sorts of things. So it's great to walk around the city that time of year. But, yeah, we don't really get a chance to do something like that, So,
right.
And I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm presenting. Topic, of course, is franchising for an organization called the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, and it's their national conference, and there's going to be, I think, over 2,000 people attending. So it's going to be a big presentation, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, so we'll replay a show, and today, of course, is Decor You, Shirley, Warrington. Then we come back a week after, us being away on November 13th. We have a franchise advocate coach. Specialize in coaching, advising, mentoring, training, and facilitating business solutions to companies. So we've had a few of those type of franchises on, so we're interested to see Advi Coach and what they're all about. And then obviously we have other shows through the rest of the year. Something here, Marty, through the Charlotte Business Journal, Driven Brands buys Mako Franchising. Driven Brands Inc., the parent company of Meineke Car Care Centers, has just acquired Mako Franchising. I thought this was pretty big news.
About that, yeah.
Mako's is a Pennsylvania-based franchisor of auto body repair and painting. The company has nearly 500 facilities in the U.S. and Canada. In 2005, Charlotte-based Driven Brands bought Aero Colors, a company that repairs chip and scratch paint car bodies. And they also have Econo Lube and Tune, Auto Qual, Drive and Style. Pretty big company, I guess, loading up on some of these automotive franchises. So we'll have to keep an eye on see how that goes. Here's something through Franchise Times Magazine by Jonathan Mays. System heats up. Owner radiates with good franchisees. This is a franchise that we had on the show a couple of months ago, Marty. It says a person doesn't need to know about auto parts to become a 1-800-Radiator franchisee, according to the franchisor's chief executive, Mike Rippey. Rippey should know he didn't know anything about auto parts before he bought the San Francisco company 15 years ago. Today, 1-800-Radiator has roughly $200 million in system sales, rings up about 1 out of every 5 radiators sold in the auto aftermarket industry, and has almost sold out of franchise territories. The company is considering expanding into other products so it can continue to grow. The franchisor grew modestly for 11 years after Rippey bought the now 25-year-old company from its original owner. The real growth didn't come until Rippey decided to try franchising. In 2004, 1-800-Radiator had 33 locations, did about $60 million a year in sales, had about 6% of the $1 billion market for the aftermarket radiators. The company tried franchising as an experiment to determine if franchise operations could equal company-owned stores in quality. The verdict turned out to be a lot better, Rippey says. We started out with 3 locations, and they killed our company stores. They grew faster and bigger. The service was better. The customers were happier. And he says the concept is simple. It sells radiators and a few other parts like air conditioning parts or fans, wholesale to mechanics in a particular market. We had these guys on the show. We liked kind of their position.
Yeah, I was surprised too, because I think, the first time you think of you hear 1-800-Radiator, that you think that you have to have some type of experience with that type of franchise, and it was the same thing, when we asked the gentleman that was on the show, he basically said you need strong interpersonal skills. It wasn't a big sales pitch either, it was pretty much, 30-second to 60-second sales pitch showing the brochure, and
right.
So you didn't really have to have a strong background in sales either. So I always thought that was interesting. It's
yeah. It says here, but most parts dealers, Marty, carry only the fastest selling items because the radiators are too big to store. And there's 700 types of radiators.
Wow.
A typical unit carries would fill up entire AutoZone. Rippy said the radiators are also priced right, 100 to 150 to make it worth delivering them. So I guess he found a niche and is going with it, looking to expand with other parts. But they have 235 locations today in the U.S. That up from 33 just a few years ago.
Yeah, they've had some strong growth, haven't they?
Yeah, so we'll have to see what they're up to. Well, here's something in Business Week, the credit crunch in small business. Amid the widespread crisis, even healthy small businesses are feeling the squeeze. Some banks see an opportunity to lend, though, by John Tazi. How directly will small business lending be affected by the ongoing financial crisis and forthcoming bailout? The evidence is mixed. It says our Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson told Congress that the $700 billion plan was needed in order to avoid a continuing series of financial institution failures and frozen credit markets that threaten American families' financial well-being, the viability of businesses both large and small, and the very health of our economy. Business owners with bad credit, unproven ventures, or companies tied to troubled industries such as housing have had a particularly hard time borrowing, but many banks still want to lend to established firms with good credit and collateral. And I'm seeing that. Obviously, I'm in the business. They just lowered the interest rate, so these are the best rates people have had in 4 or 5 years. And,
right.
We're starting to hear some rumblings of some good things. I guess always with an election year, I guess after that, hopefully beginning of the year, things can start to open up a little bit. Banks have to start lending to each other. What's tough with business lending is a lot of lenders sell the loans, and the secondary market has been very poor, so lenders can't move the loans and get their cash flow going, and that's what's been tough.
And this is what you've been dealing with every day. I mean, this is your life.
Right. Well, let's try not to talk about it. It says there's no question some companies are having credit cut off. In Ohio, banks are refusing to renew lines of credit and calling in loans made to decades-old family businesses that are current on payments, according to Dayton bankruptcy and workout attorney John Reeser. He says it's the worst borrowing environment. The worst borrowing environment in 20 years. And he says the pullback began in early 08. I saw it late 07. And I've been dealing with this the whole year, but there's been so much negative news over the last few weeks and people nervous with the economy, the stock market going down, but now that's been going up. And, so it's interesting. Things always go up and down, and this is pretty bad, but things will come back, just a matter of how much time. And kind of what's interesting here, Marty, something here through Independent Street, just dated a week ago. It says, looking for a job, try a small business by Shirley Banjo. Small business may be the answer to finding a job in a weakened economy. I thought this was pretty interesting. As talk of layoffs and buyouts run rampant and unemployment claims reported by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics continue to rise, many job seekers are worried about finding a job. Due to the troubled economy, many retirees and at-home moms and dads are looking to head back to the workforce, adding to the competition. This can be good for franchise companies starting out looking for part-time people. More people might be coming into the workforce. There's just more people available to work.
Right, absolutely.
According to September 2008 Sure Payroll Index, which tracks payroll data and measures the health of the U.S. small business economy, small business hiring actually rose in September and ended the month up 0.3%. Despite the economy's problems, small businesses grew 2.7% year-to-date nationwide, with hotspots such as Utah, Washington, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Oregon showing strong growth in small business hiring. It's pretty interesting. New Jersey's up a little bit.
Right.
But the bad news, they say here, is that actually, while hiring could be up, they say salaries have declined slightly. So there's always, whenever you have good news, sometimes you have bad news.
That makes sense. So I guess if a lot of people are working part-time for a lot of these franchises, I guess it does kind of make sense, though. But that is an interesting statistic, though.
Yeah. Well, we're just kind of in scary times. But people looking to buy or invest in a franchise, it always goes back to the due diligence and speaking to other franchisees. And sometimes when times are rough, that's a good opportunity, or good time to start up a business.
Oh, absolutely.
There's always pros and cons. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here's something else, Marty, in Franchise Times magazine by Matt Wetzel. This is the latest issue that just came out. It's titled "What Recession? Hair Businesses Cutting Edge." It says, when Mark Mansfield of Plano, Texas, heard about the imminent economic slump, he couldn't help but be a little apprehensive, like any franchisee. But to his surprise, his Sports Clips hair salon franchise in Dallas continues to score. It's going well. Our business is not being affected by all the downturn of the economy, he says. We're seeing same-store sales growth of 8%. from August 07 to August 08, he says, everybody's got to get their hair cut. Very few people are willing to take the risk of cutting their own hair.
True.
Have you ever tried that, by the way, cutting your own hair?
I have. It hasn't worked out too well. I've actually tried cutting my son's hair, and that didn't work out too well either. So.
Yeah, when you take him for his first haircut, that's a big memory too.
Yeah, we did that already. I forgot to mention that on the show. We did that a couple weeks back, and
the odds are high that he cried, right?
Oh, it was 100%. I could have bet that he was definitely going to cry. But that's an interesting stat, Don. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, there are a lot of franchises out there that are. And you hate to use the word recession-proof, but it is kind of true, though, if you think about it. I mean, people still, I know you're still getting your haircut. I'm getting mine.
Right.
So,
yeah. No, I got a Supercuts that's right in here in the stat here. And he goes on, he attributes his increased client counts to a shift in how people get their haircut. We think what's happening is instead of the men going out for a $40 haircut, they look at sport clips as the mid-tier. Across the industry, the revenue of hair care brands that franchise has increased 80%, according to Peter Schwartzer, Director of Research for FranData, a franchise information provider based out of Virginia. Right. These figures do not cover the past 6 months, he cautions, when much of the recent economic instability has occurred. The real drop in franchise unit numbers will probably only show in 09, 010, he thinks, because a lot of people think the economy might still have problems next year. He says, nonetheless, people in the industry are not noticing a decline. In fact, they're noticing a slight increase. Many people are making a decision to invest in personal services, said Gord Miller, and he's Executive Director, National Cosmetology Association in Chicago. And it goes on here, Marty, that's certainly the case with Great Clips, a franchisor with more than 2,700 stores in the U.S. and Canada. It's kind of interesting, says Charlie Simpson, Chief Operations Officer and Executive VP for Great Clips. People are visiting us for the first time because they don't want to pay $40 for a haircut. During downturns, our business does quite well, and this provides an opportunity to take the business to a new level. We're experiencing some of the best times we've seen in years. We're looking at this as a real opportunity. If we can offer a great haircut at a great value, we have an opportunity to connect with a lot more customers. People dropping down in categories are saying, this works very well, he says. And I guess they target families. 60 or 70% of their market is men. And some of the same things are happening at Regis Corp, says Mark Krataric, president of the franchise division, which has more than 2,200 franchises in North America. They have such brands as Supercuts, Cost Cutters, Salon, also Regis and Master Cuts. They have a lot of different brands under their name. He says,
and I know we'll probably have some of those guys on the show, I suspect, next year, Don, because we've had, I think up to this point, was it Fantastic Sam's, right? I think it was an earlier show we did in our career a couple of years back when we first started, but
right.
Yeah, no.
Well, those are some of the major players: Sport Clips, Supercuts, Great Clips, Fantastic Sam's. They comprise over 90% the market share of franchise hair care concepts.
Right, absolutely.
So. Okay. I thought it was interesting during rougher times. A lot of business industries will do better.
Absolutely. That's a great article. Well, I think what we'll do here, Don, is we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed about owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today, Don. We're meeting with Shirley Warrington, Vice President of Franchise Development for Decor You. And Decor You is a dynamic interior decorating franchise and a part of the global home furnishings industry, where sales top $200 billion each year. Hey, Shirley, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys. Happy Halloween to you both.
Oh, thank you, Shirley. Happy Halloween to you, too. Shirley, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson, and Don is the president of Diamond Financial. And I know, Don, you wanted to say good morning to Shirley.
Yeah, Shirley, good morning. Thanks for coming on. Happy Halloween to you also. I got a lot of pressure on me with this show. My mom's been an interior decorator, designer for over 20 years, so hopefully we'll have a good show here. But
well, I hope she's dialed in, Don.
Yeah. She has. I know she's listening, right, Don?
Yes.
She better be. Okay. Shirley, we always like to start off asking our guests where you're calling from this morning.
I'm calling from my home office in Cleveland, Ohio.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Decor You is actually based out of Southbury, Connecticut, but I'm able to work out of my home office here. The sun's actually shining in Ohio today, so that's a good
Great. Yeah, I know it's a beautiful time of year in Ohio, with the leaves changing and things like that, so that's fantastic. Sure. Shirley, what were you doing before joining Decor You?
I was actually with another franchise here in Cleveland for about 5 years, and have been with Decor You now going into my 6th year.
Oh, great. That's fantastic.
Maybe talk about, the history of Decor You, Shirley, and how, when you began franchising and just the history of the company.
Sure. The company was actually founded in 1994 by Karen Powell, and as I mentioned, we're based out of Southbury, Connecticut. And Karen actually ran the business for about 4 years, put the franchise system together, and then started franchising the concept in 1998. And it's interesting because Karen actually, when she started the business, had been in the interior decorating field herself for about 13 years and had been ranked as one of the top 10 designers with the company she was with. They had about 2,000 designers across the country. So she certainly knew what it took to be successful in this industry, and knew what the highs were of working in a fun and creative field like this. But I'm sure your mom can probably relate, Don, to some of the frustrations that we can find in our industry as well, as far as just finding the right product and trying to create that perfect room for your clients. So that was really what motivated her to think about, there's got to be a better way to enter into this industry, and got her to start franchising in 1998. And we actually celebrated our 10th anniversary this year in franchising, which you probably
great.
both
Congratulations.
know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited about that, and we actually celebrated in none other than Las Vegas. So,
fantastic.
Yeah, we had our
better
annual
place,
So we had our annual conference in Las Vegas over the summer, and it was really very exciting because we were able to go to the Las Vegas World Furniture Market out there that's just opened a few years ago, and made quite a statement, had a lot of fun celebrating the last 10 years, and certainly looking forward to the next 10 years.
So it was her idea to really franchise. She, didn't get, maybe outside, advice, and someone come to her to recommend that to franchise this type of business. It sounded like it was all her.
Sure. Actually, we're part of, you've mentioned franchise brand Source International on a few of your shows.
Yes.
So FSBI and the Entrepreneur Source was founded by Terry Powell. So you might see a common theme there. Terry's married to Karen, and so Terry actually has a very strong background in franchising and was very instrumental in sort of guiding that process and helping us franchise business.
Interesting.
So it was a
that
good
all
match.
comes together there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
that experience is so important too, Shirley. With Karen, it's one of the things we recommend to our listeners is, look to the experience of the founders of the company, and it sounds like, she has a lot of experience. She's an expert in this industry. She's just really seen it all. So I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. It's definitely a benefit to have someone that's been in the trenches, so to speak. And one of the things I've been listening to a couple of your shows, and you had talked about co-branding. on one of your earlier shows. And, with FSBI, we now have 4 brands, which allows us a lot of synergies, but also not only the opportunity with each individual brand to offer a franchise opportunity, but for people that are looking to build something bigger, definitely co-branding opportunities, which has been exciting for us.
That's interesting. Yeah, it makes sense.
So how do you describe, Shirley, the Decor You franchise system to potential investors?
At Decor You, our brand promise is love the space you're in. And for us, that's really what it's all about. It explains all parts of our opportunity. And firstly, starting with the client, to love the space they're in, whether that be a fully decorated new living room or a bedroom or office space or even a trendy new restaurant. Our decor designers are all certified interior decorators. They become certified through our training, so they actually don't have to have a background or any specific experience before they become franchisees. And they're able to offer full service from start to finish, working with the client to help them picture the room layout and then bring all of the products, whether that be furniture or window coverings or artwork, whatever that client is looking for. We have a network of over 300 manufacturers that we've already created relationships with, which is one of the challenges for independent designers is really building those relationships. And then the buying power, that we're able to offer to our franchisees also helps them be competitive and really provide not only a fully decorated room, but something that's cost-effective for the clients as well. I know that all of us are so busy today, and there's so many options out there for clients. I don't know if either one of you have recently or in the past decorated your homes before. I'm sure a lot of times for the spouses that's not a whole lot of fun.
Right,
but I had an experience with my husband when I first joined Decor You. I wanted to work with one of our designers so that I could go through the process, and we so happened to need new furniture in our living room, so it worked out perfectly. And my husband kind of looked at me confused and said, I don't understand why we have to hire a decorator. I mean, why can't we just go to Sofa Express or, go online and get some product? I mean, why do we have to have this person come in and, we can figure this out ourselves. And I said, honey, we've been in this house for almost a year and we haven't had time to figure it out yet. Our walls are still beige.
That's
and,
true.
And so he kind of said, all right, I'll give it a try. And, for myself, I'm very much like the typical client, that what we're looking for is someone to just come into your home, in the comfort of your own home. You're not being, pounced on by salespeople or anything like that. And you can share what it is that you're looking for, what your budget is, what your style is. And then with that, our franchisees are able to really bring the fun back into it, because it can be very frustrating if you try to do it yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's interesting, Shirley, how I guess you can train people who never owned a business or been in this business before. Because a lot of interior decorators, designers, they're creative people, idea people, and artists. And that was going to be a question: what's the benefit to Decor You? But I guess the buying power, the brand name, the power of that, and just the training and so forth. I guess it sounds like that's the winning formula.
Right. And, it is, we do need for the designers that are going to be out there in front of the client to have some sort of creative eye and a gift. Not everybody's born with that gift. But I was born with the gift of talking, but not not interior decorating. But a lot of people have the gift but have never been able to follow through on it. And so, with our training, they're able to take that to the next level. So that's the value for them. The other part that I wanted to talk about as far as our system is going back to love the space you're in, is really for the franchisees as well, to love the business they're in. And this is very much a lifestyle business. Most of our franchisees work from home or can work out of a design studio, so many of them are building teams of designers, and so in that case they would need to get out of the home, but it still provides them, because it's not a retail store, it still provides them a lot of flexibility and the ability to have, the kind of lifestyle that a lot of people are looking for these days.
Right.
That's true.
And it's a feel-good type of business. I mean, who doesn't like getting their place fixed up and looking better and nicer? I tend to think it's the franchisees probably just get a nice benefit from that, people being happy.
Absolutely. And you talk about the economy, and it's interesting because we get that concern or that question come up a lot, specifically about our business, because people think, well, gosh, who's going to spend money on decorating when these things are happening in the economy? But the reality is that people do want to feel good.
Right.
They want to feel good about their homes, and people actually start to cocoon more and kind of say, okay, well, if we can't build this brand new home that we're going to build, then we're going to do some renovations, and we're going to make our current home as comfortable as we can. So we've actually seen increased opportunities in different avenues, so not a whole lot of the new home building anymore, but, working with renovations and things like that. There are still so many opportunities out there.
Right. Instead of someone maybe moving to a larger home or adding on a room or maybe canceling that trip, they're, putting some money into their own home.
Right.
So.
We call that staycation, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a good point.
Spending time at home. And, but I mean, I know it's the thing about our business is it is a lot of fun, and it can be a lot of fun, but it's not all roses and playing with fabrics all day long. I mean, it's hard work. It's a full-time business for all of our franchisees.
Yeah.
And so we want them to be available for their clients, and their clients to know that they're professionals and they're serious about their business.
That's interesting. And I suspect it makes it easier to sell your home, too, by using your service, Shirley. A lot of homes that, you go into really need a lot of work,
Absolutely.
So I think this is fantastic. I see you were also featured in, I think it was Realtor Magazine in February of, 2008? So I think that was a nice plug for you guys as well.
Yeah, we were. We've had a lot of great PR over the past few years. Thank you.
That's great. And it's an intimidating process, too, Shirley, isn't it? I know, my wife, she has a lot of trouble decorating, and we were on your website yesterday and just looking. I mean, and the work that you guys do is just incredible. I mean, it's just, we wouldn't be able to do that, so it is. It's very intimidating, so I think for a lot of people, so...
It's supposed to be fun.
Right.
It's not supposed to be frustrating and intimidating, and and so you're right. There are a lot of people out there that even start to go down a path, and then how many people have bought a sofa and it doesn't even fit through the front door, or
so true.
because you're not trained to think of those things, or you bring it into your house and it looks completely different than it did on the on the picture in the show that you in the store that you went to. So definitely a great service.
That is so true. We're meeting with Shirley Warrington, Vice President of Franchise Development for Decor You. And one of the questions we recently started asking Shirley is, what role has technology played in your business?
That's a great question, and actually it's been key in our growth. In fact, we were talking about PR. We were mentioned last year in Wall Street Journal for being one of the franchises that really uses technology in every aspect of our business. And that might seem a little strange when we're talking about interior decorating because it's somewhat of an antiquated field. But at Decor You, we really, every step of the way, we're using technology. I mean, right from the start of when someone looks to learn more about our franchise, they're invited to do virtual tours and view webinars, so we're able to get them information quickly and really get them a feel for what the business is about. For our franchisees, we actually have virtual classrooms that they can use when they get started in the business. So right away they can start to learn some things and do some training online. But also in the future, once a month we have what we call enhanced learning modules that are done via our virtual classrooms, recorded, so that if somebody missed it, they can go back and re-listen to it. One of our franchisees said it was great because she came back from training, and obviously we share a lot of information at training, and we don't expect they remember everything. And so she was going out to one of her first networking events, which we do a lot of, and she woke up at 2 in the morning and thought, oh my gosh, what if I don't say the right thing, or what am I, what are the tips again? And I've forgotten what they taught me in training. And she was able to log in onto the virtual classroom and just kind of go through the 20-minute virtual classroom and just feel feel refreshed and know prepared for the next day. So that was great.
Yeah, more confident. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's so important.
Absolutely. And our vendors do a lot of training, so, our business is very much like the fashion business, so we have to keep on top of trends and changes, and we can't always have our franchisees fly to Southbury every time we need to do a training on new products. So we're able to invite our vendors to do those kinds of training, and that really helps as well. And the final area that we use technology is with the client. So we have a couple of softwares and resources that the clients can use. Many of our franchisees actually take their laptops in and do presentations. They can do room layouts and that type of thing on their laptops. But if their client maybe isn't, that comfortable with that sort of presentation, they can still use their laptop and just print it out and present it to the clients, on a print-out presentation.
That's great.
So a lot of different ways to use technology, and certainly the fact that I'm able to work from my home office in Cleveland, it talks about the technology as well.
That's fantastic. It's a very big industry too, isn't it, Shirley? Just so our listeners know, can you give them an idea of what kind of numbers we're talking about?
Sure. It's actually over a $200 billion industry, and not a lot of people realize that the interior decorating and home furnishings industry is so large. I certainly didn't when I first joined Decor You. And like we've talked about, the great thing about the industry is that people are never done decorating.
That's true.
I don't know about you, but I've never met a person that has said, I'm all done. Every room in my house is beautifully decorated.
Right.
So it's great because there's always people out there that are looking for our service. But we did, talking about the economy a little bit earlier, obviously we've all been watching the news, and sometimes people that I'm working with, again, might have some concerns about the economy, but we still are seeing a lot of opportunities. And a couple of weeks ago, we did a virtual classroom talking about technology on the economy and just educating our franchisees on, different ways to approach the clients and some different things that they could be doing. And it was really well received. In fact, I just got an email a couple of days ago from one of our franchisees. I was reading through, and if you don't mind, I'm going to share it with you because I think it's better coming from one of them than me. But it says, I love that you addressed the talk of the economic downturn head-on. It really helps to dissipate the feeling of doom and gloom that some have. I think that's key to turning things around.
That's true.
I also love that you've taken specific actions to increase business, additional discounts and coaching. It helps build the confidence, which is crucial to success. Instead of saying, ain't it awful, you're saying, how can we make this an opportunity for us? I really do love it. And I think that just sums it up about how we feel about the opportunity in the future.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Right. There's always positives when things aren't going well, and opportunities. And I imagine, Shirley, there's a lot of what's nice about your business is, of course, if someone's happy with the job someone did on their home or business, so, a lot of word of mouth business. I imagine, getting not only repeat business, because if people like how you did with a few, area of their home, they're going to maybe want you to do something else, but also because it's hard to find a good decorator, interior designer, that I imagine, that word of mouth is pretty big.
Absolutely. It is a big part of our business, and that's, one of the key things that if you get out there in the first year or so and really build those relationships, that can really come back to you tenfold. So it's a great part about our business.
And what's the breakdown of the franchisees? Do they do more commercial or residential work?
Right now it's probably more residential. I would say probably 75 residential. We are getting more and more into commercial. We've had a few of our franchisees win awards for restaurants and doctor's offices and things like that. It's a completely different sell and approach to the clients, and so we do have a lot of education around that, and we do expect that element to grow and have the resources to be able to. It's just a matter of getting the franchisees comfortable with that, and more of them are getting comfortable with that.
Here's a question that'll stump you. What's the most interesting thing that's happened to you since joining Decor You?
We're on live, right? No, I'm kidding. So, gosh, where do I begin? It's just been really quite a ride. I mean, we're such a different company now than we were 6 years ago. From a good standpoint, we've been through a lot of growth, but probably the most interesting thing that's happened to me has really been seeing the evolution of the company. When we first started franchising, we were attracting a lot of owner-operator type of franchises, so people that had an interest in decorating, were creative, and wanted to run, a small home-based franchise out of their business.
Right.
And that was great, and still is great, and we still offer that opportunity. But what we found was, and we kind of knew this because we're obviously all of us have read the E-Myth, and you know about our strategic alliance with the E-Myth through FSBI, but that one of the key principles of the E-Myth is working on your business and not in it. Right. And that the business that you're passionate about isn't always necessarily going to be the right business for you. So what we found was that sometimes the most creative soul, the person that's so great in decorating and so great with the client, is not always the best person to be running the business and generating leads and actually growing the business. So the most exciting thing for me has been to work over the past few years to come up with a new model. We recently launched it in 2007 called the Territory Director Model, and this is an opportunity for marketer manager type of individuals that would say, I like the interior decorating industry. I don't see myself as being a decorator, but I see it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to come in and buy or invest into this franchise, and then we will help them in finding decor designers to work under them as independent salespeople. And that has worked really, really well for us, and we've seen a lot of success with that. So just seeing the evolution of that and seeing how we are opening up new opportunities for people that may not necessarily have an interest in decorating but would like to, just find a vehicle, as we've talked about a couple of times on your shows, to build a business. So that's been very exciting for me.
Great. It seems like a lot of your first-time franchisees are first-time business owners, but do you also have some people that are already in the business that maybe want to buy into the franchise for the name and all the other positives that you can bring to that business owner?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're actually seeing that more and more over the past couple of years, getting a lot of requests from people that are already in the business, and we do have a few people. We have some people that actually have design degrees or have worked in the field before. The woman that was featured in Realtor Magazine that you mentioned earlier was in California, a designer that joined us, and the value for them is that this is really a tough business to try to do on your own, and just keeping all the balls up in the air. So the value for them is the buying power, the system, and possibly for people looking to expand and grow a bigger business, they can now have a structure whereby they can do that. So we definitely are seeing a lot more of that.
Or diversify if they're like a builder or some other affiliate business. I see this be a great add-on or co-brand.
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It's funny, we have one of our territory directors up in Sacramento. She owns a construction business, and this is a great add-on for her, so it definitely can be a good add-on business. And the other thing is a great business for a husband and wife team. Talking to a lot of husbands and wives that are looking to get into business together, and this is a great model for that as well.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. You mentioned before, Shirley, you'd like for people to have some creativeness, but what other characteristics do you look for in a franchisee?
The first characteristic, which might seem a little strange, but is that they really do want to own a business and run a business. So, a lot of times people really, they need to understand that there's obviously still going to be a lot of work involved and have that strong desire and motivation to run a business. The second thing is the ability to follow a system. So I think you probably hear that from every franchise, that the system is key. And if you're investing into a franchise, then you should follow the system, because that's really what you're investing in. We recently became a part of VetFran and launched a new program in conjunction with that called MilSpouse. So we're the first franchise that's offering a discount not only to veterans, I know a lot of franchisors do that already, but also to military spouses. And the reason we're so excited about that is because these people definitely know about following a system. They're all about following the system. So wanting to follow a system, and you've heard it time and time again. Excellent interpersonal skills. I mean, this business is about building relationships, about getting out there, and not necessarily knocking on doors, but going to networking events and home and garden shows, and just being involved in your community. And for a lot of people, that's exciting. And for some people, they could think of nothing worse because it scares them to death. So they do need to be the type of person that is excited about getting out there.
And is willing to work hard and take on a challenge, and you guys take care of the rest.
Right. Now, for the executive models, which would be the territory director that I talked about earlier, and then the regional developer, which are sort of like our area developers, they need to also have some hands-on management or team development type of skills because they are going to be building teams and working hands-on with their teams.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. What's the training like, Shirley, for your new franchisees?
Our training is ongoing, and it's a combination of virtual training, and then they do some hands-on training at the Decor Performance Enhancement Center. For the designers, our training program, as I mentioned earlier, is actually a certified training program. So when they come through the training, they will come out the other end with a certification as a CID, Certified Interior Decorator, which is an industry-recognized certification. And so that's very appealing. And also for us, we want our franchisees and our designers to be professionals. Right. And then we also have launched just recently, with the help of our 9 territory directors that we have on board, to come up with a certified management training program that focuses more on recruiting and developing a team.
That's great.
So they would go through that training in addition to, the typical Decor You training.
Right. It's a lot of training.
Yes, it is a lot, and it's ongoing.
And it's ongoing.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what's a typical day like, Shirley, for the Decor You franchisee?
Oh boy, I don't know that any day is that there is a typical day, which is part of the fun. But if I was to narrow it down, for the territory director, really a typical day for them is recruiting designers. So they're, especially in the first few years, they're building their team, so they're interviewing a lot, out there trying to find people that could be good on their team. And then once that team comes on, they're developing leads for them. And building relationships with that team. So they're really building the team and working closely with the team, not so directly with the client, because their designers are out there dealing with the clients. If you have someone that comes in as a decor designer, which is an individual franchisee, their focus would be more on the day-to-day dealings with the clients, building relationships, managing the projects, working with their vendors, presenting to clients, that type of thing.
And I guess as far as the business side, the bookkeeping, I guess you've simplified the bookkeeping part, because a lot of people haven't owned the business before, and there's, the other side of things is, making sure your, business and the bookkeeping and everything is.
Absolutely. And, most of our franchisees have that creative side of the brain working really well and need some help with the other end. So right. We do use QuickBooks, and we have customized reports and things like that. So we train our franchisees on that so that they do have a system to run just the day-to-day business. And we also have a customer database, which is an online database, so they can access information about their customers from anywhere. And that also helps them, really run their businesses efficiently and keep track of who they're working with and their projects and that type of thing.
You've been in the business now a little bit, franchising, Shirley. What advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur looking to buy a franchise? I know it might be some similar to the characteristics, but any other advice that you can give?
I think the biggest advice I can give is just to keep an open mind. as you know, our sister company, the Entrepreneur Source, says that most of their coaches, most of their coaches that work with people that are looking to buy business, 95% of the time they actually choose an option that they never thought of. And and so I think that, you know, a lot of times I'll be at a franchise showcase or something like that, and a lot of people will walk up and say, oh my gosh, you know, this will be perfect for my wife or my cousin or sister or mother or whatever the case may be. They love decorating, and sometimes I'm able to engage them in a conversation to find out what they're looking for and to realize that this could be a great opportunity for you also, because you could be a regional developer with us, you know, and never really have to touch a piece of fabric, because your role is to help us develop our franchise, or a territory director and working with the team but not actually doing the decorating. So sometimes people have preconceived notions. I think earlier on your show you were talking about was it Meineke or one of the car franchises or something like that, and
right,
you know,
Mako bought by
Mako, right? Sorry, and a lot of people think you have to have experience in that, or that you're going to be actually doing the job. But the reality is that when you go to a hair salon, the person that runs that place probably doesn't know the first thing about cutting hair.
Right.
You know, so
that's a good point. That's it's
right.
good, you know, misconception about franchising. It's more about managing people. And like you said, working on the business, you know, Michael Gerber's whole philosophy. But you're right; it's not knowing that business, or if it's a restaurant, getting in there and cooking. It's just you know, managing the whole process.
Right. I mean, I do think it needs to be something that you can get excited about. So a lot of times, you know, we recently worked with a husband and wife team. And initially the wife had called to learn more because she loves decorating and wanted to learn more about joining us. And at the same time, her husband was looking at other franchise opportunities. He was had a business background. And as we were talking, we realized that this is a perfect fit for both of them, because he could use his business skills and she could, you know, use her creative skills. And they actually have teamed up. They're in Indianapolis, and they're just going like gangbusters because it was a great fit for both of them. But had you said to, you know, the husband a year ago you'd be running a home decor franchise, he probably would have, you know, thought you were crazy. So it's just interesting how when you really keep an open mind and you learn about the model and the system, you might be surprised at what you find. And the other thing that I will also say regarding advice is that remember that it is a mutual evaluation process. So, you know, we certainly want to be able to give people the information that they're looking for about our franchise, but they need to keep in mind that we're also, in essence, interviewing them to try to make sure that they're a good fit for our franchise as well. So it's sort of a sharing, you know, back and forth of information.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
And I see your company. I was just going to say, Marty, real quick, Shirley. You know, I see your company exhibited at the International Franchise Expo in D.C. Our company also exhibited there, so you're really getting the word out about the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely. We are, and I know that you're heading out to the West Coast Expo next week, right? So that should be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, yeah.
That's true. Shirley, we have about 60 seconds. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on Decor You?
They can go to our website, which is www.decoryou.com.
Okay. And is there a number they can call?
Yeah, they can call myself actually directly at 866-844-7589.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Shirley. You've been a fantastic guest, and I would love to have you back in the future.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thanks so much, Shirley. Have a great day today.
You too.
Best of luck. Good job.
Great show, huh, Don?
Yeah, interesting. That's good.
It's great service. You know, it's, just really learned a lot by listening to her, and you can really sense her passion of the business.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's fantastic. So good job, Don, and I know you'll be heading out to the West Coast soon, so you have a great show.
You too in Chicago. Have a good time.
And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thanks,
Take
Marty.
care, Don.
Take care. Bye-bye.